2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Nine Hole Podcast. This is Ian Miller. I have somebody extremely special joining me tonight. Won a AA championship with this man, Adam Law. What's going on, Adam?
What's up? It's not much. It's good to be here. You and I were roommates, a lot of cool, crazy experiences. I love what you're doing with the Nine Hole podcast. I think both of us relate to kind of the nine hole mindset and what that means more on a personal level. So I'm pumped to be here and I appreciate the invitation.
Oh, dude, my pleasure, man. So you are currently an assistant coach at BYU, and this is your first year there. You're helping out, kind of. You have like a utility role almost, from what we were talking about. We'll get into that in a second. Just a little background on Adam. Was drafted by the Dodgers in 2013, right, Lawman?
Yep. Right.
Kind of grinded through the minor leagues a little bit. Came over to the Mariners in 2016. So that's when I first met you. First at bat that I ever saw from Adam Law was an inside the park home run. It was incredible. Um, Obviously, we played a couple of years with each other. You got a master's in performance psychology, which is insane. You were one of the Dodgers mental performance coaches for 4 years.
Yeah, I worked for them for 4 years in the
Yep.
capacity as a mental performance coach for 2 of those 4 years.
Awesome. Dude, that's awesome. You got something going on the side, which we'll hit on here in a little bit. The Mojo Lab. You are the owner and performance specialist there, so you got your own little side hustle going on. That looks sick. I was just on the website.
Yeah. Mojo Lab, little side hustle. It's good to get outside of baseball, and I work with golfers, tennis players, obviously baseball players, basketball, performing artists, violinists, whatever. Like everybody's a performer in their own right. Parents, so business professionals. Yeah, really fun and exciting stuff.
Fires me up, dude. So now you were in your first year as an assistant coach at BYU, dude. So what is your role currently at BYU? What do they have you kind of focusing on?
Yeah, so I'm in charge of the infielder. So I do all the infield play, and then I construct all of our practice designs. So
Okay,
the principles that underlie skill acquisition and motor learning, or in simple terms, how can we get players better faster? I have a hand in that on the hitting side, the defensive side, scratching into the pitching side as well.
it's awesome.
A lot of stuff that I learned with the Dodgers, and then I do all the mental skills stuff. I wouldn't have taken the job and left the Dodgers had the head coach Trent Pratt not kind of given me free reign to continue with mental skills and mental performance with the college team. So that's really where my passion lies. I love the physical side of baseball, but I think you and I both know that really the separator, the sixth tool, is between our ears.
Oh yeah, love that, dude. So obviously, like, you know what the Nine Hole Podcast is about. You kind of know what we do here, man. So we'll definitely like. I'd love to just ask you a bunch of questions about the mental side of things. Because, dude, like you've had a great career. You got a lot of things going on, dude. You've also been around some of like the game's best. Whether you were physically in Jersey, whether you were a performance coach, whether you're a college coach, you've been around some of the game's best at all different levels, dude. So you've seen, you've coached, you've experienced kind of the traits and what carries those guys, what separates those guys. So that'll be pretty cool to convey, to anybody listening, man. I think a lot of people are gonna get a lot out of this, dude. So at BYU, man, how are things going, dude? Do you have first year jitters? Like, what is that? What is that like compared to, if you were a coach in pro ball?
Yeah, the pro game organizations are so big that there's a like an infield only coach, and then there's a hitting coach for a certain player, and then a hitting coach for a different kind of player, and
Yeah,
there's analysts, and there's scouts, and there's front office people that make the decisions. And then in my little role as a mental performance coach, like I was had blinders on and locked in with that side of things. And then you get the college job, and we're a staff of five. There's a baseball operations person, and then there's the head coach, two assistants, and the pitching coach. And so it's kind of like your reach in the college game is a lot broader than in the pro game. Like I'm having a hand in recruiting and like trying to figure out, okay, this kid's 14 or 15. What is he going to look like when he's 18? Like, is he
Yeah,
somebody
dude.
actively recruit? Whereas with the Dodgers, there's a whole department that just pumped us the best players that they thought, and then we developed them. So the recruiting piece certainly a learning curve for me. I also think doing the infield stuff and working with the infielders, like one of the things that I've noticed is I felt like I was a decent defensive player and did a lot of things right, but now coaching it and actually like verbalizing the things that I would do or that I would watch players do is
Yeah.
a challenge. And so learning how to coach and like dictate different skills or different positions that we want our infielders to be in has been a challenge, and kind of wrap my arms around it and like, yo, I really need to dive deeper and learn more to be able to explain things better to our players. So first year jitters a little bit. Our team, the university is moving into the Big 12, which is a huge step, getting into the Power
Yeah,
Five.
dude.
And number two, RPI conference behind the SEC. Like they play a lot of good baseball, and so like we're excited, we're nervous, but we're gonna take the challenge head on.
I love it. I love it, man. That fires me up. That'll be big time.
Sure.
That big stage, dude. I've seen a bunch of pictures of the stadium. Just the backdrop, dude. How gorgeous it is. It's a fantastic spot to be in, man. It's cool that a dude of your caliber is there, man. Like you're gonna have a big time impact. I love that. Love that for you guys. Love that for you. On the recruiting front, what kind of players like character, makeup, good teammate, any of that stuff? What kind of qualities are you looking for when you're recruiting to bring the next batch of top tier athletes to your university? What are you looking for?
Yeah, good question. I think first and foremost, we look for, are they a good player? And I think a person's physical ability weighs more and is more important than their mental ability or their makeup or their teammate ability, whatever you want to call it. Like the physical tools are the separator. So that's the
Yeah,
first thing that we look at is like, can this kid play? And then second, is he a good fit? And what we mean by fit with BYU, and I know with the Dodgers as well, is, are they a good person? Are they a good teammate? Uh, are they growth minded? Do they believe that they can learn from failure and embrace obstacles? Because you and I both know, like, the amount of failure that the pro game especially brings, and to pick yourself up after a 0 for 20 or an 0 for 30, like, can that person do it without going off the rails or off the deep end? So and that's a little bit harder because we in college, because there's some restrictions of when you can talk to players, how old
uh,
can they be, and so we're not able to like formally interview them like we would in the pro game, but you can kind of triangulate information by talking with their high school coach or their travel ball coach or
for
somebody that
sure.
knows the player, to try to see if they're a good fit and somebody that our guys would want to play with, or if they're an addition to our clubhouse.
I love it. Nah, dude, that makes a ton of sense. Obviously, like there's dead periods and stuff, but especially with recruiting, dude, I'm not 100% up to date on all the rules, dude. I just know that, there's certain blackout periods where you can't be in touch with certain people, dude. So I'm sure that kind of adds to the challenges of recruiting, right? Getting eyes on certain people. Obviously, we hit on your past a little bit, dude. Played with the Mariners, played with the Dodgers, coming up through their system, and then you were a mental performance coach with the Dodgers organization. Um, Now you're at BYU, dude. So, like I said, dude, you've been around top tier talent, different levels, right? Dudes that are just kind of like top in their industry for the level that they're at. Dude, so what do they do mentally that's different than the average player, right? So we're talking to, you know, young baseball players, right, who are hoping to hopefully get scholarships and, play pro ball, dude. What do they have to start thinking about that these guys can do mentally all the time?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And from my experience and observation, we played with a lot of first rounders or like high money picks that are like the thoroughbreds of baseball, that
Yeah.
they can do whatever they want and they're going to be a big leaguer. Like, not to discredit Kyle Lewis, but like you walk in and you see that guy as a first round pick and it's like, oh my gosh, that's a big leaguer.
Yeah.
I know he worked hard at Mercer University and like played. played really hard, went through injuries, but those types of people, that's what come to my mind is like, man, that's a freaking big
Yeah.
leaguer. And then you and I walk down the street and 90, 80, 90% of other guys in pro ball walk down the street and you don't know, like, that's a big leaguer. What?
That's right, dude.
And I think that's where I talk about the sixth tool of like the guys that are able to separate themselves from the pack, like what you did with the Twins and the Cubs, like your ability from an observational standpoint as a teammate, and then me watching you from afar, is your ability to bounce back from failure and really just do you, regardless of what front office people were saying. He's too small. He doesn't have enough power. He needs to hit for more power. He strikes out too much, whatever. Like
Yeah.
throwing all that crap out of the window and then focusing on what you can control
Mm.
is what separates you and makes you a big leaguer from the others. And I think like working with high performers with the Dodgers and in other pro sports, it's their ability to be present, embrace the present moment, and focus on what they can control, regardless of the noise, fans, front office, who's getting what, promotions, whatever, is their ability to remain present, say screw you to everybody else, and just go all in on the things that they control, that they can control is really the separator. Just boiling it down as simple as I can.
Dude, I love it. So I, man, been talking to a couple of hitting facilities around here just on, some thought processes, processy, however you, I don't even know how to say it, man. And controlling what you can control is huge. Like just trying to convey that point. Um, so like if a 14 to a 21-year-old wanted to implement being present, right? Or if they wanted to implement, controlling what they could control into their daily routine or into, how they go about getting ready for baseball, like what would that look like? How would you get present? How would you just like worry about controlling what you can control? If you could boil that down a little bit.
For sure. The same way that we build our bodies in the weight room, like we're going lifting, working on explosive, like running, sprinting, agilities, all that stuff to work on our physical that's off of the baseball diamond or outside of the batting cage. There are mental protocols that you can do outside of the performance environment that increase the likelihood of you staying present. And you and I, when we were exchanging some emails, like we talked about mindfulness, and that's really where the informal or formal practices can stem from that will then make it much easier to remain present in the game and understand that, wait, am I focusing on things that I can't control, or and how can I shift my attention back to the things that I can? And I like the simplest way is it starts with the breath, taking 2 or 3 minutes of quiet, like sit on your bed, in the car, before you get to school, whatever. Focus on your breath. Find something that it's maybe you're noticing where you feel your breath the most. Is it in your chest? Is it in your nostrils? Paying attention to that. Then when your mind wanders, noticing, oh crap, my mind is wandered and it's focusing on something that I don't want it to be. Redirect your attention back to
Mm,
that focal point of the breath. And it's not about being 100% okay, I'm never going to leave focus of the breath. It's noticing when your attention is wandered and then redirecting it back to where you want it to be. That's a mental repetition.
got you.
And the more that you do that, then when you're in the game and the umpire like rings you up on a bad call or you make an error and your mind starts going all over the place, it's much easier to rein it back in and focus on the present moment or what you can control. So it starts with the breath. There's several different ways to do it, but that would be kind of the simplest for a 14 to 21-year-old.
Dude, I love that. Right? You're able to kind of take a breath, maybe come back to peace, right? You're not going to be acting out of not anger but emotion, right? In a certain situation, you get rung up on a bad call or something like that. So obviously it's like a muscle, right? It's you
Exactly.
got to train it. You got to train it, I guess is might be the right word. But
Absolutely, it
that's
is.
mental reps right there. Just bringing the attention back to, something. So that is mindfulness, right? Is that technically meditating?
It is, yeah, and
Okay.
a lot of time people think meditation is sitting in a Zen position and like elbows on the knees and humming to yourself. No, you can meditate when you're washing the dishes. If it's like, hey, when I'm washing the dishes, I'm really going to feel the bubbles on my fingers and
Oh,
the slipperiness on my hands. Like that's meditating and being mindful of your surroundings as opposed to, hey, I'm just going to see how fast I can get this done. So there's the formal practice of meditation where you sit down maybe on a cushion and like calm down, but there's also informal practices of walking around or listening to music and listening to a particular instrument for the entire song. Like there's all sorts of ways to train the muscle of attention that makes it easier when your mind wanders to bring it back and focus on what you want to focus on.
Dude, I love it. So I was gonna say, like, if a younger player or student athlete isn't, practicing mindfulness or isn't meditating, man, how could they start doing it tonight? With, the goal of it positively impacting them.
Yeah. I mean, the easiest way is to start small. With any habit or any big goal that we want to accomplish, starting small makes it easy. So, hey, 30 seconds, see if you can sit still on the bed before you go to sleep and pay attention to what your butt feels like on the bed. And then when your mind wanders, redirect your attention. Wait, I'm supposed to be focusing on my butt. If that's too hard, then when you're brushing your teeth, everybody hopefully brushes your teeth at night. Okay, when you're brushing your teeth, instead of just trying to get it done in 30 seconds or 45 seconds, use the 30 or 45 seconds to feel the bristles rubbing on your teeth or your gums or your hand moving back and forth. We do so many things throughout the day mindlessly that
Mm,
it would be easy to pick one thing and say, okay, every day I'm going to do this mindfully and pay attention to it on purpose. And then hopefully that practice grows a little bit more where it's like 5 minutes or 6 minutes and
yes,
and then it spills over into the cage and your on-field stuff.
dude, I love it. Like, how many seconds is in between, each pitch, dude? So it's like, the battle can be won or lost, right? And maybe little situations like that where your mind can just deviate and wonder, and like you might not be present, you might not be here, dude. You might be somewhere else. You just got dumped. You just failed a science test, whatever it is. Like, hopefully, this type of practice can, you know, at least you can be aware of what's going on and try to come back to the present. Is basically, what you can try to accomplish with this stuff, right? Am I kind of making sense right there?
Absolutely. The word awareness that you just said is really the underlying principle of your attention is like, hey, I'm aware that my attention has wandered. Let me redirect it back. So yeah, you just got dumped or you're 0 for 5. You punched out your last at bat. A nasty closer is coming in. Like your mind's going all over the place. That's taking you outside of the present moment. And the more you practice and train your ability to remain present, the easier it is in the 20 seconds between pitches, whether you're on the mound and playing defense or you're in the box, to kind of let your mind wander, recognize it, and then redirect your attention back to what's important now and what's within your control in the present.
Oh, 100, dude. Yes, I love it. I saw a tweet. So obviously, when we were over in the Mariner system, dude, we were coming up. I think you came over right when Andy McKay came over, DePoto came over.
Mhm.
That's kind of when you got traded, dude. So we kind of got spoiled on the mental performance side of things with how insanely awesome those guys were. Like, that's the first time that the mental side of performance or sports or baseball kind of came into play for me, dude. So like going back to my last year playing, it was in 2021. I was with the Cubs in AAA, and I saw a tweet from Andy McKay, dude. I still follow him, dude. I love all the stuff that he puts out, dude. It's insanely like smart. Um, Dude, but I saw a thing that said, like, when you're a baseball player and you're going into the box, it was somebody giving a speech or an interview or something, but like you can only think about one thing when you're going in, like, whatever that is. Like, think about the one thing and then, kind of clear your mind and go in there. Cause dude, like, trying to convey how hard it is to hit a baseball or how hard it is to like execute a pitch and to have your mind going in all different directions, dude, you're at a disadvantage when you go in there and you're not, you know, thinking about one thing solely, whether it's executing a pitch or, sitting a certain pitch in a certain zone, dude. How, like, when you were playing, man, how were you able to like lock back in? Did you have a breathing technique or a mental cue, or is there something maybe that you're teaching to your guys, like, to lock back in when stuff is kind of just, steamrolling, going all over the place?
Yeah. To piggyback first off of what you said with Andy and Jerry, I think we were super fortunate to work or to play in the Mariners and
Yeah,
to
dude.
experience what Andy did, to have mental skills infused to the entire organization as opposed to just having like a mental skills group that comes in and like gives presentations or whatever. That's
Dude,
really
yeah.
what kind of pushed me to what I do now. Had it not been for Andy and his program, like I think Jimmy Van Ostrand and I think of Franco,
Yeah,
like
dude.
those dudes really helped us out. Or at least they helped me out. I don't want to speak for both of us. I would assume that you're on board there.
100%, dude.
Um,
100%. Bernard, like Adam
oh yeah,
over there too,
Bernal,
man. Dude, I still like. I still keep in like semi contact with those dudes. Awesome people, man.
yeah,
I owed a huge chunk of anything I was able to do on the field to guys like that. I was a mental midget. To be quite frank, when I kind
sure,
of first met those guys.
sure. Going back to your question of what did I do, I think for the most part, baseball players have a routine, and it's easy to go through the routine without having your mind actually being where your feet are. So, like, I would get to the
Ooh,
box, I'd step on home plate, I'd kick my bat off of both toes and get the signs. Like that was my routine, but there really wasn't a purpose behind it.
it's autopilot almost.
Autopilot, where it's like my mind wasn't where my feet were. And so it just like, okay, cool. It was mindless. Then I was exposed to Andy's format of learn, control, plan, commit, working the funnel. You have 15 seconds between pitches, and he had 4 steps: learn, control, plan, commit. I kind of came up with my own little process, and mine's control, plan, trust. But the control piece is my routine. And so, how can I gain control of my mind from pitch to pitch? And mine
Ooh,
was a breath, and then I would make eye contact with total purpose with all 5 corners of home plate. So I'd look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not just mindlessly, but actually being where my feet were and like paying attention if there's a speck of dirt or grass or whatever on home plate on one of the corners. Like that was getting me into the present moment. And I think it
it's
varies
awesome.
for player to player. Some guys have like Evan Longoria's got the foul pull. Some guys got a deliberate breath. Some guys got the batting glove thing. Like
Yeah,
all sorts of different ways. But you need to have something that serves as a focal point or as an anchor that you can do on purpose with purpose as part of your pitch by pitch routine.
dude, I love it, man. That makes a ton of sense. Like I- talking to some of these kids, at least around me, man, they don't even have routines yet,
Yeah.
right? They haven't even gotten there yet. So it's like, obviously the more baseball you play, you'll learn kind of what works for you, and what you need to implement daily to kind of maximize your performance. But having some sort of breathing technique or mental cue to either lock in or clear your mind or come back, and being present, kind of aware of what's going on, man, is huge, is clutch, and something that I'm extremely grateful for. Going through the Mariner system, and Andy McKay and kind of what those guys were doing over there,
If
man.
I
So like,
if I can
go
say
ahead.
first, Ian, and I think going back to routine, when you talk of controlling what you can control, a routine is something that you have complete control over.
Ooh,
And so when you're in the game and crap is hitting the fan and the game's speeding up, like all sorts of different scenarios can happen. A routine provides us with a sense of control and a sense of normalcy of, oh, wow, I'm in control of this and I've been here before.
that's
I
right.
know what my routine is. It's giving me a sense of normalcy. And that is one of the best ways that I know of to slow the game down is through a routine and to control what you can through your routine instead of letting the game speed up and like I mean we've probably experienced an at bat where you walk up and you strike out on 3 pitches and you walk back and it's like holy cow what just happened.
Yeah.
Had we been able to in that moment recognize wait a second things are really speeding up, let me grab hold of something I can
Mm,
control, which is your routine, will hopefully help slow the game down and limit those amounts of at bats that we just like throw out the window because it's like I don't even know what just happened.
dude, yes. So like going back to Andy McKay here, it was some spring training, and he had all of the minor leaguers in there. Maybe it was mini camp or whatever it was, dude. But he had them in there, and he asked kind of I came off, I think, my best year ever in the minor leagues. I think after 2017, in 2018, I was in spring training, and he had asked, he's like, dude, how many people in here are you aware of the percentage of at bats that you give away during the year, right? And I was really thinking about it. And I'm like, dude, I'm up there, just relying on athletic ability and speed and stuff, and just playing like pepper with the infielders almost at this point. Like, am I really there? Like, how many ABs did I give in to a 2-0 pitch and was late on a fastball in? Like, when you think about that, and you get, I would call them gypsy base hits right off the pine tar.
It's easy. Yeah, of
Like,
course.
it's a 2-0 count, and I'm a left-handed hitter, and I get beat with a fastball in, and I get big, and I called it a gypsy base hit off the pine tar right over the third baseman's head. Like, I got no business getting a bloop double there, right? But it's like, how many at bats do you give away over the course of a year? And it's like, dude, if I probably, you know, can I say that I was 100% locked in for 60% of my at bats throughout the course of a 140 game season? I don't know, dude. But like, I'd imagine I'd probably gave away 40% of my at bats in my best year. Just, you know, not being locked in. It's like, dude, if I was 0 for 5, if I'm 0 for 4, right? Dude, I can't let that fifth at bat have an 0 for 5 mindset. You know what I mean? Like, my 0 for 4 can't hinder my ability in this fifth at bat. You know what I mean? Like, the external is not going to affect the internal. You know what I mean? And like, trying to actually implement that, dude, was way harder than I'm making it seem. But like, dude, if somebody's going through a slump, right, over the course of, if you're playing Division 1 baseball, it could be 50, 60 games, whatever it is, or, playing pro ball, 140 games, major leagues, 162, whatever. Like, when somebody's going through a tough time, things are snowballing, things aren't going well for them, man. Like, you can't get in a groove at the plate, game's moving a million miles an hour. Like, what kind of wisdom are you passing on to somebody, kind of just to help them control it?
Yeah. Two things come to my mind with that question is first, well, three things. First, hopefully we've equipped the athlete with skills to handle that slump or that those consecutive failures. And what I mean
Gotcha.
by that is addressing the slump before the slump ever happens. And one of the most effective exercises that I've done with players, and we're actually going through it now with players at BYU, and then we would hit on this in instructional league or spring training with our Dodgers guys. Sit down before the season's even started and say, hey, when and if you struggle, what advice do you want to give yourself? We'll write it down. 4 months later, there they are. They're 0 for 20. They're spitting on the lineup card because they don't want to be in there, whatever's going on. It's an exceptional time. And I mean, they're in the batting cage looking at all these mechanics, and they got the video and they got the biomechanics and looking at their skeleton moving. And 99% of my players will tell me they want to get back to a simple approach or having an external target. So
Ooh,
rather than searching for some mechanical fix, and then you don't get a hit with your bat more flat, and then you change it to your bat angle up or whatever, it's, hey, most of the time it's, I need to get a good pitch to hit in somewhere in the middle of the plate, and I'm going to drive it over the second baseman's head. That is for the most part like kind of the vanilla answer that most of our players give.
I love it.
Get them on the horn. Yo, I know you're searching for all sorts of mechanical stuff, but this is what you told me when you were in a clear headspace of what you wanted to tell yourself when you're going through a slump. So that's the first piece that
Ooh,
comes to my mind is hopefully we've nipped it in the butt before you're in the thick of it, and you can kind of have some separation of how you want to get through it. The second piece is, and we've both experienced it, you're like chasing hits. Man, I just need to get one so I can get going. I need a gypsy. I need a bunt hit,
that's
whatever.
right, dude.
But zooming out and looking at, if you're in pro ball, you're gonna have 600 at bats or 600 plate appearances. 20 at bats is like what, 3%? I don't know. That might be bad math, but
I
20
like it.
for
Yeah.
20 out of 600 at bats is so small that, like, okay, no big deal. 20 at bats, but instead of looking at your game of like, oh, I'm over my last 20, like zoom out and say, okay, I have 600 at bats to go show what I'm made of. And kind of going back to what we hit on earlier, your ability to be present and actually commit to being present takes you away from your past 0 for 20 and what might happen in the future as well, and kind of playing the game pitch by pitch. But yeah, that's what I'd say is nip it in the butt beforehand. Okay, this is what I want to tell myself. And then when you're in the thick of it, recognize that, you're going to have 600 plate appearances, or in college, you're going to have 250, 300 plate appearances. 0 for 10 really isn't that bad. Like,
That's right.
let's get present and win the next pitch.
I love it, dude. That fires me up. So, um, obviously, like with the routine, being able to control that, and kind of like going about your process, being present, being intentional. Um, Another thing that I picked up from somebody with the Mariners. So Jamie Moyer, back in
Mm,
the day, when I got drafted, I had a phone conversation with him, and he told me to keep a notebook. Right? He told me to keep one for pitchers, situations, what the pitches were, what they look like, what he went to in certain counts, right? What, velocity, habits, all that stuff. And then a second notebook kind of for like, my routine, how much sleep I got, what I ate, how my arm felt taking infield, outfield, if I worked out, all that stuff. And so that was big time for me. That was like a game changer for me. And not that I obsessed over it, but I got real value out of that. So I really did incorporate that into, my routine, something that I did. Dude, if I was struggling, if I was scuffling, if I was on that 0 for 20 stretch, like what can I revert back to? What can I fall back into? I'm facing the number 6 prospect tonight, for San Antonio, whoever it is. And it's like, dude, well, if I can, go back to my notebook, I just faced this guy 3 weeks ago. And I just went, that's the last time I actually got a hit. And I got 2 hits off this guy. Like, what was he throwing? What did it look like? 2 weeks ago, I just smacked this guy around. Like, shouldn't I be confident already going back to that? So, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, dude, you were a notebook guy, right? Like, you would write stuff down. Um, how could the next generation of baseball players benefit from tracking stuff like that, writing stuff down in a notebook? Dude, I've been trying to like convey it to the people I talk to. And I think, the more and more people kind of like speak on it, dude, the more information people can benefit from.
for sure. Yeah, I'm happy that you brought this up. And I was always so fired up. It was like you and I, after all of our at bats, you were in the dugout
Dude,
writing down what we saw from the pitcher. And then post game, you and I were writing down a little reflection
yes,
of
dude.
what the day was. So
Yes, dude.
it's a no brainer. And I think having a formal framework to make it easy, as opposed to, hey, you need to do this, 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 but simplifying it. And to your point of, one way to kind of grind through a slump is to review and reflect on past successes. So
Ooh,
you're facing the big lefty, the number 6 prospect or whatever, you had a couple knocks off of him. Reflect on that. That should give you a little extra oomph of, hey, man, I can do this. I've done it
that's
before, and relying on that. And the notebook is an excellent way to do that. So by keeping a notebook, I know in pro ball it's easier because you're facing the same guys. You got like 6, 7 months to do it.
yeah,
But
dude.
sometimes if I was slumping, it was really easy to go back to the past experiences of like, holy cow, I was 4 for 4 off this guy and saw the ball really well. I also think with all the scouting reports and data that people give to us, sometimes my perception of a pitcher is different than the scouting report that they gave me. Like maybe his
Yes.
95 didn't look 95 to me, but they're telling everybody that, hey, 95 gear up for the fastball. But me, it was like, hey, it's an easy 95 or whatever, or it's a sneaky 90 with some
Yeah, it
run.
gets on you.
And exactly. So, but I think to the reflection piece of a notebook, there's two different ways that I teach it with our players. Write down one thing that you did good, one thing that you did bad, and one thing that you want to improve on. Three lines in a little notebook after your practice or after the game.
Mm,
Excellent. Close it, move on. The second way is one thing that you did well, one thing that you learned regardless of how well you did or how poorly you did, and then how you want to get better the next day. And answering those three questions, simple, takes 30 seconds to a minute, but it begins to uh, jog your memory of like, okay, what did I do good? What did I do bad? How can I improve? And then it gives you a focus for the next day. And that's kind of a short, formalized way to do it. And then you stack a bunch of those on top of each other, and 2 months later,
Oof.
like, wait a second, I was going really well a couple weeks ago. Let me see what I was doing, and it's right there, as opposed to always searching for answers.
I love it, man. I love it. Changing pace here a little bit, dude. So we touched on kind of at the beginning of this, the Mojo Lab,
Mm.
right? So that's your thing that you have going on the side that you started, that you own and operate. Aside from being an assistant coach at BYU. So, like, what do you do? With your clients, man. What are you aiming to provide?
Yeah, I think there's so much good content out there that's available to high performers. Again, whether it's in sport, in business, in the performing arts, there's so much good content to consume and principles that can guide your life as far as like from a performance psychology viewpoint. But what Mojo Lab, or my side business, my consulting business, offers is a more individualized approach. So went through all the schooling, all the training, the certification, etc., to work individually with high performers and with teams. So work with high school players all the way up to pros in different sports and different contexts on an individual basis, and target their needs and their values or goals of what they want to get out of their performance. And so we'll meet
Love
in
it.
person or on Zoom and kind of list things out, things that they want to accomplish, things that they're struggling with, things that are going well, to hopefully provide them with a better opportunity to perform at their best when the performance matters most. So hit on like how to deal with pressure, how to deal with failure, um, how to control what you can, how to be present, all the things that a high performer may be challenged with in the heat of the moment is what I tackle with them.
It's awesome, dude. Where can they find you, man? Where can they get in contact with you?
Mojolab.com is a good spot. Social media is probably better. Just Adam Law 217. The Mojo Lab website, I appreciate you saying that it looks good. I did it
Love
on
it.
my own. It's kind of
Oh,
janky, but like it's just it's something to provide some structure. And yeah, so Mojo Lab or social media is a great place to start, and where I find a lot of clients.
I love it, dude. So now this obvious question has to do exactly with the nine hole, right? So, what does the nine hole mean to you, man? So, like, when you think about a nine hole hitter, somebody at the bottom of the order, like, what kind of qualities, characteristics, or traits does that hole hitter have for you when you think about that?
Not to get sentimental, but when I think of a freaking gritty 9 hole hitter, I think of you, dude.
Oh, I love it.
And somebody that is not going to give up, somebody that no matter how bad things are going or no matter how good things are going, like he's going to do his best to get on base to help the team out. And he's going to get on base and then he's going to steal second. And he's going to try to get into scoring position so the guys hitting behind him are going to get there. And then pretty soon you're going to be hitting first or second, and I'm going to be hitting ninth.
That's
And
right.
it's an opportunity to, again, like if I got to lay a bunt down, if I got to hit and run, if I just need to do whatever it takes, regardless of the circumstances. People are
Oof.
going to take me for granted. Oh, it's the 9 hole hitter, but I'm going to go out and give it my best. And so I think of all the 9 hole hitters like just dirty, grimy, like uniforms always dirty, and they just work hard. They don't care what people say, and it's just like more of a screw you mentality. I'm going to show you, and then see whatever
Yeah.
happens. That's what comes to my mind.
That fires me up, man. The chip on the shoulder,
Chip
right?
on
The
the shoulder.
attitude, like, dude, yeah, everybody's against me, kind of thing. Dude, yeah, I really feel like I hope at least I was able to portray like I embodied that, dude. But I've tried to feel that way all the time. Like, I think, dude, like once you lose that chip on the shoulder, right, and that, not that the fire goes out, right, but if you don't have that extra, like, fu mentality, however you want to verbalize it, that chip, like, your back's against the wall, it's almost it's almost disrespectful being in the 9 hole. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? I should be leading off, dude. You know what I mean? I look great, right? I'm handsome, dude. I should be leading off. You know what I mean? Like just
Sure.
having that type of, the chip on the shoulder, man. I love it, dude. So gritty, like a
Mhm.
grinder, man. I love it. How it pertains to your lineup, right? The BYU lineup for this year, like obviously it's still young. You might not know who's leading off, who's playing where, but like, what is the 9 hole hitter hopefully going to embody in your lineup? Like, what specific role does the 9 hole hitter play on your team?
Yeah. I'm probably biased towards the 9-hole hitter because I primarily hit ninth in the minor leagues and pro ball. Like occasionally I get the 1, 2, 3 call, but I was hitting 8 and 9 a lot of the time. And so I'm biased towards that spot because that spot means a lot to me. And I hope to find the player who is ever going to hit ninth is going to embody that, like a chip on
Oof.
the shoulder. Like I'm pissed that I'm not hitting first or I'm not hitting second, and I'm going to show the coaches, I'm going to show the opponents that I deserve to be hitting at the top.
Yes, dude.
And I can picture probably like maybe an undersized, maybe speedy guy that is just like screw you. Wait till I get bigger and stronger, and I'll that type of guy. And
Need
we had
it.
a handful of those dudes that hopefully they're hitting at the top for us, but I like selfishly I want one of them to hit ninth for us too.
I love it. Duh, fires me up, man. Can't wait to see like what you guys are able to do this year, man. It's gonna be sick. So before we leave here, dude. So obviously, like you are a continuous student of the mental game, right?
Mhm.
Even though you've got this experience, these degrees, right? These credentials, man. You're still learning all the time. Hopefully you still grow, you still build on the building blocks of what you've set, dude. What do you have any books to recommend? Like, if there's anybody listening, like, has there been any literature? Has there been any readings that you've come across at least through your journey in baseball that have like benefited you that somebody can benefit from?
Absolutely. And I'll give three recommendations. The first is Heads Up Baseball by Ken Revisa. He's the godfather of sports psychology in baseball, and he does such a good job at watering down complex like sports psychology topics into application for our target or your target audience, 14 to
Love it.
21, and even younger, and coaches as well. So that would be the first and foremost as it pertains to baseball. Second is Mindset by Carol Dweck,
Okay.
where she talks about those with a growth mindset or a fixed mindset and the differences between the two, and suggestions of how to learn from failure, how to seek out critical feedback, how to learn from the successes of others, and things like that. It's applicable to individuals like us, youth, parents, coaches. And then the last one is The Upside of Stress by Kelly McGonigal. And it is some research that she did of all of us feel stress, but it's our interpretation of that stress is telling of whether it's going to hurt us or help us. And the
Ooh,
upside of stress is like we can actually take the stress that we feel and use it as a way to help us live more holistic and meaningful lives. And it's all up to how we perceive the stress that we're feeling.
I
There's an
love
excellent,
that.
excellent TED talk that she gives, Kelly McGonigal. If you want to get like a 20-minute version of the book, but yeah, the book is an excellent read.
Dude, I love it. I love it. I feel like there are two books that kind of stand out for me that I got from the Mariners, my time at the Mariners, like coming up there. Chop Wood, Carry
Mm,
Water, right? Is a simple read, kind of about like falling in love with the process. And then The Mental Game of Tennis
yeah.
is one I think that I got from Andy. But I think I saw Tom Brady reading it, dude, on Twitter. So that's where I was like, if he's reading it, dude, I am reading it. And so like just kind of stuff like that is cool to pass along, man. I think it's reading isn't cool, right? Reading's not necessarily cool, man, but like man, I can now that I'm older and I see the benefits of it, like I try to get in as much as possible, dude. It's cool to portray that to the next generation, man. So like is there anything like any words of wisdom, dude? Anything you want to throw in to leave us off here? Like, hopefully baseball players are going to be able to take something from this, man. I think, dude, this is stuff that I wish I would have known or have heard, like when I was going through my grind right before I went to college or before I was in pro ball, right? Like you got anything you want to leave off with, dude?
Yeah, I think circling all the way back to where we started of your awareness and your attention. There are so many excellent opportunities to win on the margins or to win the mental game outside of the baseball field, outside of the batting cage, outside of the bullpen that will make it a lot easier to be present, to not worry about at bats or pitches that will come, and to not worry about things that have happened in the past. And starting with 30 seconds or a minute, just to be where you can focus on something with a purpose. Again,
Love
whether
it.
it's the breath or whether it's your butt on the chair or your toe or whatever, finding ways to practice mindfulness or to be present. I cannot stress that enough because once we can have a sense of control over our attention, the sky's the limit when it comes
Ooh,
to our ability to perform between the ears.
I love that, man. As I progress through my career, dude, mindfulness practices, meditation, incorporating that kind of stuff, getting present. Obviously, I was learning a couple different ways on, bringing that out. But dude, that became big later towards the back end of my career when I became aware of that stuff, dude. Now that I'm not playing anymore, it is a huge part of my day, dude. It's how I start my day, dude. I use the Calm app and I'm ripping through, the Daily J, the Daily Calm, like I multiple times, first thing in the morning, dude. So it's awesome. Adam, dude, I can't thank you enough for your time, dude. Thank you for being here. I'm fired up. I got to get you on here, man, and speak to these guys, man. Thank you.
Heck yeah, you're a good friend, Ian, and I'm like honored that you would think of me to come on the Nine Hole podcast because it fires me up, brother.
I love it, dude. Well, best of luck to you guys this year, man. We'll be tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ian.
All right, brother.